You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Teague.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Mob City After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Mob City After Show.
Hey, all you out there, Mob City fans. This is the AFTERBUZZ After TV show, Mob City. Episode number 1, a guy walks into a bar, and episode 2, reason to kill a man. I'm your host, Ryan Hooks. Sitting in with me, we have our lovely co-host, Anik Dufour.
Hello.
And our very special guest, Mr. Ryan Dorsey.
Hello.
So, let's jump right into this. I'm sorry if I'm loud. I talk. I'm really excited about Mob City.
You just turned
Are
me
you
down
guys?
just a little bit.
I'm sorry. Mob City, great,
Thank you,
amazing,
Larissa.
wonderful. Okay.
Now
so
I just can't hear anything.
let's get
but
right
go
into
ahead.
this. So this show, by writer-director Frank Darabont, famously known for The Walking Dead, Green Mile, and of course my favorite, Shawshank Redemption,
Yes.
came up with this idea for a miniseries.
Yes.
6 episodes. What do you think of the concept of a short miniseries now in this day and age of TV?
I think they should have had like 6 episodes, like among 6 weeks.
Over 6 weeks long?
Yeah, this is
Ryan?
just a little much for me.
You know, I can agree with her, but I also think, you know, in this age of binge watching television, I think it gives people a little more, because, you know, usually it's like, oh man, I wanted another hour, and Frank's giving you 2 hours.
Giving you 2 hours right now. I actually really like the idea of a 6-part miniseries. You think back to the success of like Band of Brothers in the Pacific, something where you don't have to keep coming up with all these storylines to drag out a story that maybe ends up going nowhere.
Yeah.
So in this day and age with so many TV shows, I like this idea because I think it's going to keep viewers interested just long enough to make a point, maybe get picked up to a series. But I think so far it's a good idea. So a couple things I wanted to talk about right here off the beginning is the concept of this show is based off of a book called The L.A. Noir, The Struggles of the Soul of America, the Most Seductive City, based in 1947. And one thing that Darabont said, he's quoted as saying, is noir has always been a special love of his, and both literature and film. So this show is sort of his love letter to the genre, where the playground of strong personalities, where there is a stake of life and death all the time, and blended with the pulp and heat of fiction. So, that being said, the first couple episodes of this show, do you think that Darabont captured what he was going for in this noir love letter?
Go ahead. You're our guest.
Absolutely, I think so. I mean, Frank's knows what he's doing. He's a creative genius, so I think. But the whole thing about the miniseries, from what I understand, is if it does well, which I'm imagining it's going to and is doing well.
We hope so.
Yeah, next season will be like 12, 13 episodes. That's not
Could pick up and be a
100%, but that's just
20-part
what I
season
heard
one, right?
from eavesdropping on people talking.
Yeah, I actually heard that too.
I've heard those rumors as well floating around. I mean, let's be hopeful that this series does get picked up. It's a great show so far. I personally think the first couple episodes lacked a little bit in the plot department. I think that he was trying so hard to create this noir faction. There's so much with the lights and the suits and the gray hats versus the white and black hats and the ties and the shoes that a lot of what he was going for in the storyline gets lost. That we get so caught up in watching that we miss some of the acting here. So with that being said, let's actually segue right into our characters. So we have a large amount of characters in this show that we meet right away. Would you like to go ahead and introduce us to our first 3 characters that we meet at the beginning of the show, including yourself?
Yeah, well, I'll just say that I know that they had shot the first episode already, and then I believe someone came up with the idea of doing this flashback to kind of tell the story and go back to the history of these characters. And that's where I got lucky enough to work with everyone involved and play the young Sid Rothman, the young Robert Nepper, who is I haven't seen tonight's episode yet, but he killed it in the first 2. So yeah, that's my. What was the question?
No, we're talking about characters. So Sid Rothman, we meet in the very first scene, as well as Meyer Mickey Cohen and Benny Bugsy Siegel, as introduction to them as characters who then are our driving mafia-esque characters throughout the show. Obviously, Mickey Cohen is famous for his LA Mafia connections, and Bugsy Siegel for his creation of Las Vegas, as they say in the first. And then Sid Rothman becomes the right-hand man, if you will, the enforcer of the mafia law.
The sociopath.
The sociopath, as they said at the beginning.
You like to play sociopaths.
I like to play whatever someone
Whatever you
says
can
they
get.
believe me as, and you know.
So did you know when you came into this much about, you know, in the LA Mafia or these actual historical figures, or even Sid Rothman as a character?
Well, I knew he was created for the show,
Okay.
and you know, I did my research and read a little bit of the book LA Noir, which they had hoped to title the show originally, but there's apparently a big video game that had something to say about
Right.
that, and then they went to Los Angeles, and then from Los Angeles, now it's obviously known as Mob City. But yeah, you know, I did my research, and it was pretty incredible to learn how vicious and ruthless some of these people were in the early days of Los Angeles.
Yeah, and we even see that there in our very first scene after they go in, and learning to play the violin, I hear, was a struggle.
Yeah, that wasn't. I had 5 lessons with an Grammy-winning violin coach, and I could have had 15, and I don't think it would have. I would have had enough. Definitely the hardest thing I've done in a performance, probably a period, because it was so much at stake in my mind.
For sure.
I was just trying not to get fired.
Right.
And yeah, so that was the, you know, even when I got to shooting, I had like 2 weeks to learn, and I was supposed to go to Vegas with some friends, and I was like, you know what, I can't go to Vegas because
You gotta learn.
yeah,
so.
if I don't,
Gotta learn the
I
violin.
can't play the Vegas violin. That's just not a thing, the Vegas violin. So anyways, I learned what I could in 5 lessons and practicing on my own, and you know, I guess I got it down well enough for them to hold the camera on me for 3 seconds. So
I actually really like that intro as them, you know, hey, we got to get out to the theater because we got to make some money. And then you see them taking down a couple of trucks, obviously a prohibition period. They're probably going for the liquor. And he said, hey, you can have a drink on us. And then we see the truck get blown up by the dynamite. I was actually a really big fan of that opening scene where they're sitting in the truck and the truck's flooded.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you gonna go anytime? You know,
Yeah,
dynamite
yeah.
in there.
yeah, that was. I just thought it was a hell of a way to open up a show, and it makes sense that they had already shot the, you know, whatever that was before, and then they added the 10 pages, 10
Yeah.
minutes, whatever it was. I think it ended up being like 6-7 minutes, but on paper it was like 10 pages of all the description and whatnot. But yeah, it was. I loved it, man. I was like a kid in a candy store working with those guys and working with Frank. I mean, Shawshank's one of my favorite movies, The Green Mile as well. So, and even Walking Dead, I've seen every episode. I'm still a fan, even though Frank's not on it. But yeah, it was a dream for me, for
No.
little old me.
I've heard rumors that Frank is literally crazy. Can you shed any light on that?
Well, you know, I only got a limited amount of time to work with him the couple days that I was there. But he just seems like he's having so much fun and you know, maybe crazy as in a crazy creative genius. I
I'm
could agree.
inclined to agree with that. Crazy
Yeah.
creative genius is a great way to spin that question.
But he's definitely like happy. He's such a joy. You can tell he loves what he does, and he's so excited. And he's chain smoking on set, which he's given up apparently. Good for him.
Period.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, I know. But yeah, he wasn't like anything crazy, you know, just crazy good.
Where did you guys film it? Like, what backlot? Because, like, we were looking at this episode tonight, and we're like, please don't ruin it. Please don't ruin it. Like, when they
Yeah.
panned out.
They're panning up over the back lot and all the different houses and stuff. And
Yeah, that was up in Santa Clarita at the Disney Ranch. I
Okay.
believe. So yeah, not too far from here.
not too far right up the road. All right. Well, Disney it is. Cool. So getting back to some of the other characters here. So we've met Bugsy Siegel, Meyer Cohen, and Sid Rothman, our mafia villains, if you will. Then on the other side of the law, we introduced Joe Teague, the detective, as well as one of my favorite actors who appears in all kinds of random shows, Neil McDonough, playing Chief Billy Parker, or also Bill the Boy Scout, as he's titled in the second episode. And then Milo, can you fix this for me?
Ventimiglia? Is
Milo
that right?
Ventimiglia for Ned Stack. So some of our early characters that we meet here.
You just, like, went right over my...
You
I'm,
know,
like, talking. He's like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay.
done and done. Well, anyway, so some of these characters here that we have create our storyline. Then our story, as we see, progresses into the mayor, talking about the corruption of police in the city of Los Angeles, as well as their stance against corruption, which is set up then by our main character, Detective Joe Teague, who receives a match pack with a date and time for him to meet at a bar 8 p.m. that night. So as he goes into the bar, he meets up with Hecky Nash, who propositions him to do some after-hours moonlighting work to help protect him as he's preparing to blackmail somebody. Doesn't mention who, but he wants to go ahead and find out, what he can do to get some money, and he wants to get out of town. Wants to finally change his luck.
Right. I mean, I would too.
I mean,
Is that still wrong?
No, absolutely not.
It's like wrong. I mean, I used to live by the mafia. In New
I mean,
York,
50 grand in 1940s. What does that convert? Like $100,000 now?
At least
Yeah.
a couple hundred, probably, my guess.
We'll call it 250. It's a nice round even number. So he meets in the bar, and he decides to take it back to his detective, pulls the case file out, and we are introduced now then to our quote-unquote mob squad, if you will, a variety of different characters, headed up by Detective Hal Morrison. Is this a group of men that they've put together through the police force and the mayor to fight mafia crime in Los Angeles. These characters then arrange and help set up Detective Teague's, if you will, after-hours moonlighting job with Hecky Nash, where they agree to go to the Baldwin Hills.
Right.
As a person who's been through Baldwin Hills here in Los Angeles, I don't feel like there'd be any time that I would ever want to be there. Especially if the mob is wanting to kill me, or if I'm blackmailing them, even with a cop.
I'm pretty sure that it was probably different back then, though.
It's an oil field.
Yeah, I mean,
Seems safe to me.
yeah.
Sure, why not an oil field? That's a great place to meet somebody in the middle of nowhere where there's no roads.
With a
and-
shovel and a gun, yeah.
Perfect.
Why
You can
not?
bury the body while you're out there.
Exactly.
So as we learn, Hecky's plan is to, like I said, blackmail the mob. And when he's at the scene, we find that he has some pictures. Pictures of our Bugsy Siegel, main mafia villain, committing murder. At this point, we don't really know much about what the pictures are, but we see Joe Teague seeing the pictures and him deciding to not do what he's supposed to do. Because originally he was going to signal for help for them to come up so they could catch all the people in the act. So this is where we see Sid Rothman at his older age with another unnamed mafia member who I still have yet to know his name after 4 episodes.
I don't know it either.
They haven't said it. He has a few lines here and there, shows up. So viewers out there, if you know who Sid Rothman's left-hand man is, let us know.
Do you know who it is?
I don't.
You don't know.
There are a lot of characters in.
There are several characters.
There's a little too many characters for me. I'm like confused as to.
Takes a while to get to know
Yeah.
what's going on.
I had to watch the first 2 episodes twice
Yeah.
before I figured out who all the characters were in the first 2 episodes. So anyway, we find out that Hecky's smart, outsmarts the mafia, if you will, and brings along a cop. He says, hey, polish up your badge, let them see it. He's standing up there with his gun and his badge, and they realize that they've been outsmarted. They're really mad that they've been outsmarted, but they pay him and take the pictures and leave. Then, my favorite part of the episode 1 here.
Right.
Is it your favorite part as well?
Well, I kind of like the beginning. It was the most action that there was in the whole episode.
That's true, the explosions. We see our own Joe Teague
But he
takes
shoots
out
him. He kills him.
takes out Hecky Nash,
Yeah. And then you're like, what the hell just happened?
takes the money, puts it in the back of his car, wraps up his gun, fires off his flare, and waits for backup.
Yeah.
So at this point, what do you think about the decision to have him kill Hecky Nash?
Well, I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't know what was going on. If he was like corrupted or like how they were gonna lead it. I was just confused.
I thought he was going to do it for the money. I was with him.
Yeah, I mean, take the money and run, right? I
Cops
mean,
were super underpaid still now, and
well, that's what he said.
especially back then. Yeah.
He said and then later he finds out why he didn't take the money. $3,000 is the cop's salary for a year. They were offering him $50,000. I mean, I'd be okay with $50,000
Yeah.
even now in today's standards,
Yeah.
let alone making $3,000 a year. So takes the money, puts it in his car, fires off the flares. The cops come, lies to the other police department. So do you see this then as police corruption that they talked about in the intro?
I don't know. Maybe.
Because in my
But
opinion,
I mean, I don't know. He just seems it's like he did it like I don't know. I mean, did he do it like for Jasmine, or like he like do it like for himself? Was he thinking, because they had a relationship. So is he thinking, well, maybe, he's killing him because he had a relationship with his wife. I don't, it's kind of,
Yes.
it could go either way.
So we meet Jasmine Fontaine then, who's Hecky's
Right.
girlfriend at the time,
Right.
which we later find out at the surprising, shocking ending of episode 2 was formerly Detective Joe Teague's wife.
Right.
Left during the war and has nothing to do with him since then. Possibly that Joe's changed because of his involvement in the Guadalcanal incident in South Pacific, rather, the Japanese fight. Or potentially that there was some other things that we don't know about yet.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we don't know why the whole, like, situation, like, the whole relationship, like, went
Downhill,
Yeah.
if you will.
Went down the drain, potty, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know. I guess hopefully we'll find that out in the remaining 2 episodes of the show here. But what we do see then is at the very end of the episode, they're kind of alluding to some of the relationship here. Joe Teague's doing a voiceover, and he says there's a lot of reasons to kill a man. Greed, lust, or sometimes no reason at all. But also, people do it for love. As we see shots of Jasmine sitting on a suitcase waiting for Hecky. Is she waiting for Hecky, or is she waiting for something else? We're not really sure. But that brings us into a second episode of this lovely series here, A Reason to Kill a Man. So hopefully this episode shines some light on a reason to kill a man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you think of other reasons to kill a man besides greed, money, power, lust?
Well, if you don't like the person, bless you.
Bless you. Yes, indeed. Okay. Well, actually, I'd like to go into this then a little bit with...
Wait, is there a reason other besides to kill a man? Besides, what did you say? Lust, greed,
Lust,
jealousy?
greed, money, jealousy.
Well, I think he says sometimes because dinner's late on the table. That's a good reason.
It is the
to kill a man
40s.
sometimes.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Okay, so
Unfortunately for me, I'd probably be 6 feet under then, because I can't cook.
yeah, well, you can order out, can't you?
That's true. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I could pretend I did. Yeah.
Put it on a plate. You never know.
Exactly.
So, do you think that from what we've seen in the first 2 episodes, that there is police corruption? Because I mean, they made such a big deal about it.
I think there has to be somewhere in there because, I mean, if they made such a big deal about it, then it's got to lead to something. Or it's just going to go nowhere, and I don't think that's the type of show it is.
Well, Ryan, as you said, you read some of the book. A lot of the book is actually based off of tales told by the LAPD.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you find that in relation to the book and the show, there was police corruption?
Oh, absolutely. Of course they're going to have that balance of, walking the line, white hats and black hats. And like Joe Teague says, he wears a gray hat. So I imagine that it's going to, he'll dabble in a little corruption. Otherwise, we won't have any conflict of good guy, bad guy, trying to determine which one he is. So of course, I just don't know. There's a lot of fictional stuff that's not in the book, and
Obviously, a little poetic license, if you will.
yeah. So, and like Sid Rothman, he's not a real character. So, but much needed, I think, to tell
Absolutely.
to tell this story.
You need a nice, bad villain.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
does the dirty work of the mafia.
And plays violin at the same time.
Beautifully,
Yeah.
mind you.
Gangster and a musician.
With 2
There
weeks
you go.
practice.
It's hot.
Agreed. Who doesn't love a violin player? Speaking of police corruption, then getting into the second episode, we see a flashback that we find out because Hecky Nash was friends with Mickey Cohen when he was a kid. And then we also meet our future police chief, Bill the Boy Scout, if you will, Bill Parker. And he's watching them smash up this phone booth, movie theater to get some money, robbing them for that. And he says, somebody needs to stop them. We see then a story develop with Bill the Boy Scout, or Bill Parker, Detective Parker, that he wants to do right, wants to do good, and is really, really gung-ho about doing good. He stops that robbery and hostage situation, then the police kind of made fun of him. They always made jokes about what they called him. Well, then after that, they only ever called him Sir. So we're setting up characters, in my opinion, that are not corrupt. They've got the mob squad of characters that are straightforward, very straight-laced, very cynical, if you will, and also not the type to take guff from people, to do wrong, or take money even. So do you think that they create a nice dynamic with Detective Teague and some of the things we've seen in his first couple episodes?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, they're going to have the guys that are just completely walk the line, straight, and then they're gonna have guys like Teague, I'm imagining, that struggle with, trying to be the straight, the good guy, and do what's right and moral, and dealing with all that stuff. So I think with Bill the Boy Scout is a great character to go against the mob and try to push it all down, because that's the one thing I do know from the book, that he was adamant about getting rid of corruption in LA and the mob and all that good stuff. So I can't wait to see where it goes.
A very nice friend to have, as they said in the show.
Indeed.
I mean, I wouldn't mind having like a few mob guys on my side. I'm like, I need a favor.
You need a little Mickey Cohen in your life?
Yeah.
Who doesn't need a little Mickey Cohen in their life?
How about that scene though with the kid, man? How much fun do you think that would have been to smash a theater? I mean, the kid must be like 9 years old.
Probably.
God, that had to be
Yeah.
so fun.
That would have probably been the scene that I would want to do. Just like start smashing things.
I mean, shooting the Tommy guns was like the craziest adrenaline rush I've ever had, and we got to do that like 11 times. But yeah, so I'm just imagining being that kid, like, all right, now go smash the booth
Just
now.
smash
and
those windows up good.
action. He's like, okay.
Yeah, right. Just like I had a bad day and like just like think of like somebody.
grief on it.
What a
Yeah,
job.
exactly.
What
As
a
someone
job.
who's smashed things with a bat before in my life, it's always a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So then, again, that sets up some of the nice dynamics here with the show in terms of the police, quote unquote, corruption, and also the mafia. And actually, I feel like some of the mafia guys really aren't that bad. I feel like Bugsy Siegel, is a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
Just wants to make some money. We don't really see him do anything violent in the first couple episodes that would set him up as anybody that you'd be scared of.
Well, they never actually do it themselves. They always have like their minions do it.
Like a nice Sid Rothman character, for example.
Well, he's got his own kind of like minions going on.
I
So
think he
it's
enjoys
like,
it though. That's kind of his.
Yeah, it's true.
He's got some sick love for
Egomaniacal power
violence.
trip.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So in the show, then we meet Jasmine Fontaine, as I was saying before, who is Hecky's girlfriend, brought in to be questioned by the police. But we find out that she doesn't really know anything, or so she lets on to. That she's just there, was waiting for him. They're going on vacation, and she always packs heavy. In that scene, then, we've seen an interaction for the first time with Jasmine and Detective Teague, where, in my opinion, she pretty much handles him in a very thorough manner. Did you guys suspect anything about their relationship when you watched the episodes of the two of them?
I don't know. I think like he left for like the war and she kind of just dumped him. That's how I'm kind of seeing it.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming though. If that was true.
Yeah. No, I mean,
about the relationship. So
Yeah.
when he had that picture at the end, I was like, what is this?
Because one thing I watched when I rewatched the first two episodes the second time is at the end of episode 1. I'm sorry, I like to watch the shows twice to make sure I caught everything for the viewers out there. One thing that I did really notice is when Joe was doing the voiceover at the end of episode 1. He's talking about reasons to kill a man, greed, love, and he says love, but they keep flashing back to scenes of Jasmine sitting on her suitcase, which this is really the first time we see her for any extended length of time other than a few seconds on the phone when she's talking to Hecky. So, I mean, there was obviously some foreshadowing put into that where they're like thinking, okay, here's where we can plug this love that will potentially be there or not there or was there. And I didn't catch it till the second time around. So I think they did a good job making kind of viewers on the edge, not knowing what's going to happen. But as the episode progresses then, we see that they put assignment on Jasmine to keep an eye on her. Teague obviously volunteers for the first shift and is watching her, following her, and asks her some personal questions as well when he drops her off about photography. And she makes a comment that she only does photography at the club. So did you, at that point, at all link the fact that pictures were being taken that she possibly could be involved?
I didn't. I mean, it didn't like connect. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm blonde. I don't know. Like it didn't connect. No offense. I was like, it didn't connect to me at first, and then, but like you say that, and then I went ahead and watched that last part again, and then I'm like, okay, I kind of see like where that could have connected.
Thoughts?
Yeah. I hadn't read the script, like I said, so everything was. I've only seen it once. So
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I feel like I'm with you. I need to go back and watch it again because there's so it's film noir and there's so many things I think that are underneath and kind of placed where you're not supposed to. It's not, they're not hitting everything over the head. And sometimes I miss a lot of stuff. So I'm looking forward to going back and maybe I'll answer your questions.
They don't always hit it on the head, but you know who does always hit it on the head is iTunes.
Oh,
Yes.
You're welcome, segue. iTunes. Viewers, go out to iTunes.
commercial.
Check us out. Rate us. 5 stars. We do over 60 shows here on iTunes, available in the Android Marketplace, as well as YouTube and our website. 5-star ratings are the best. We do love them. Tell your friends. We do all these shows for free, and all the shows are available for free for you to watch, for you to enjoy. So the way you can pay us back is by going onto iTunes, giving us a rating, asking us questions, giving us comments. We love your feedback. So we look forward to hearing more from you on that. Anyway, back to what I was saying. You're welcome, segue.
Back
Those
to
are my
programming.
favorite. Back to programming after this.
That was our commercial, by the way.
You're welcome. So anyway, what we find then is there's a bunch of questions that are being asked on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
First off, the mob is asking about Joe Teague, who returns the $50,000, as we find out, to a former Marine and friend of his, Ned Stack, who is also the attorney for the Mafia.
Hello. Jesse, Gilmore Girls.
Little Gilmore Girls throwback.
Sorry. I love him.
He basically hands him a stack of money and tells him to stick it up their butt,
Yeah.
in so many words.
Right.
PC friendly here on TV. And then, so they're asking questions about what does this cop want, that he did this hit for us, that he doesn't want the money, and what's he going to want later? As well as the police are asking questions about why was Hecky bumped? What happened with this situation? And there's a lot of questions that are unanswered in this current situation on both sides. Did you feel that there was enough plot at that point given?
Go ahead.
No, I think in any show the first couple episodes are almost always slow. At least in my mind, there's so much like what's going on, what is this, where are they going with this, who is this guy, who's this girl. So it's like a lot of stuff that they got to get out there. Like every pilot to me is almost always sucks, and not that this show did, because I think it was a great opening that I was a part of, so I loved that. But I think episodes 3 and 4, I hope there'll be a lot of these questions that we have and concerns, they'll be filled for us. I'm hoping.
I mean, how much though can they can only do so much, because we're all anticipating a second season, so they can only
Give out so much information.
Bleh, I can't talk. Give out so much information until, for next season, because then we'll know and we'll be like, okay, what's next?
Well, and Darren Bond too is very well known for doing a lot with his cinematography and also having slower moving shows where the way he creates an art and the way he creates an image is by slowly sculpting it away for us to see the different layers. That's why I was saying I think some of the plot in this show could have been lost to the stylization of it, where the lights and the dancing and the music and the flashing and the suits and the Tommy guns at the opening scene and the explosions maybe allowed viewers to miss some of the things that were happening, some of the characters that were being added in. And I'm interested to see then with the next couple episodes how that sort of develops and what he has to say about that. But what we do find out then here towards the later end of the episode is, Teague's getting grilled by the mob squad about what happened to Hecky, about Jasmine, and we find that Teague is defending Jasmine,
Right.
and the things that she said in the interview, that she's telling the truth. However, not everyone believes him. This is one of the characters that we have met a couple times, Mike, who is part of the mob squad. He's the only one that's really had a voice in terms of his opinion, that he says that he doesn't believe her. Do you think there's any credential to what Mike has to say, or do you think you are on Teague's side?
I don't know. I think I'm kind of on Mike's side, because Teague still has I think he still has some feelings for Jasmine. So
However,
whatever he would do to help her or not,
Keep in mind, at this point, we don't know.
Right, we don't. But at the same time, it's the way I think that the way that they're portraying it is that we still don't know what's going on, but now as looking into the other episodes that that we see now, I think that that's how kind of like, I mean, I think that she probably possibly did something wrong, and he's just kind of covering up for her because he still has feelings for her.
Yeah, I think he's trying to protect her, and at this point, we don't know that their true relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's interesting how they set that up.
Right, and we see, he's going out of his way to protect her. I agree with that. I think that he will do whatever it takes to protect her and to, look out for her or go out of his way to kill people if he has to make sure that she's safe. Because you frequently see he asks other people, hey, what's up with Jasmine? How's she doing? Is she being taken care of? All that kind of stuff. But then as the show transitions here, we get back into some of the mafia action as well. We see a character named Carl, who was a former runner for the mob. Part of the Bugsy Siegel outfit, was in prison but got out. He's working at an Italian restaurant, hates his job, wants a little help. So he comes and he tips off the mob and says, hey, there's a couple people in here, Mo Feltzer and Jerry Edelstein. Mm-hmm. And, I know you guys have been looking for them. Hey, they're here. Why don't you come and take care of them and then take care of me, so to speak, so he can get him out of the restaurant. Which is, again, later driving plot points for our next couple of episodes. So we see then they come in, beat up Carl a little bit to make it look like he was attacked.
Right.
And take out Mo Feltzer and Jerry Edelstein.
Right.
A little more mob action by our own Sid Rothman.
Yeah.
Love that guy, Carl, that actor. I'm not sure of his name, but
Yeah.
I love that performance. Killed it.
Yeah, he did very well in that performance, coming off as sort of whiny, but like, hey, I taught him that, I taught, he listens good like me, I taught him that. However, what we do find out in my favorite little action moment in that show, I love the part when the woman asks for cheese.
Yeah. And then he gives her the cheese after
he offs two people and then gives her the cheese and says, enjoy your meal, and walks out. So I'm a big fan of that.
Gangster.
So as we move in towards the end of the episode here, we're back at our favorite bar, where we see Ned Stacks, the lawyer for the mafia, and Detective Teague having a drink. And again, they're talking about the problems that they're having with their own bosses based on who's on what side, who's doing what for what reasons. I think Ned is kind of mad that he's being so honest about the things that are going on, and I think that Ned feels like he should maybe cover his ass a little bit, so to speak. But I don't know. I was a little concerned with that, and I was kind of wondering more about their relationship. So I hope they shed a little bit more light on that in the future episodes.
Especially what happened with them, like when they were like in the military, in war and stuff like that.
Because as we learned, they were both Marines,
right?
Which actually we learned in the very beginning. I always thought you were smart. He aced the bar. They were together, and we hear later that Ned talks very highly of Joe Teague. Obviously, he's the reason he recommended Teague to take care of the Hecky Nash situation, and talks about how he basically saved his life as well as all the other soldiers that came back when they were in the Pacific. But we find then too he's got apprehensions about Teague, and when Teague still has the picture that he pulls out of his wallet at the very end, our big revealing moment of episode 2, as we learn out, there are reasons to kill a man, including the picture in the wallet. I'm delaying this, as you can tell, just like they did in the episode. Slowly delaying it, dragging it out. But Ned says he's seen the picture, that he's showed it to him twice a day, every day, for several months when they were in Guadalcanal, not Guantanamo Bay, wrong side of the country. But at the very end, we see the reveal of the picture, and it's a picture of Jasmine and Teague, and it's a wedding photo. She's in a white gown. He's in his military uniform. Shocker?
You made me wonder how she went from him to a guy like Hecky Nash.
I was just gonna say that.
Because
Teague's is kind of good looking.
Right.
Teague is kind of good looking.
Yeah.
So
I kind of have a little crush.
You have a little crush on
And
him?
Hecky Nash, you're just wondering what's
wrong with you?
What's the
Yeah.
appeal?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, this is not John Bernthal's first time playing a mafia man, as we remember from his portrayal of Al Capone in Night at the Museum Part 2.
Oh my gosh.
Don't forget that he's into the noir. He knows what's up.
I didn't see that.
I didn't either. I saw the first
He
one.
plays Al Capone.
I'm gonna have to see it now.
Yeah.
In the second one?
Yeah.
Big Joe.
Why is Al
Buzzball fan.
Capone in the Night of Museum?
Because he's one of the wax figures that they pull out.
Oh, okay.
Gotta
I didn't
see
write it.
now.
I'm just telling you who's there.
I didn't say you wrote it. I'm just asking you, like, where did that come from?
I'm just,
Guy
bringing
knows
it.
his movies.
Yeah.
It's all about knowing who's in what and who's done who, so to speak.
Well, it is Hollywood.
It is Hollywood, absolutely. Okay, cool. So, again, the big reveal of episode 2, we find out that we have a big driving plot point for the next couple of episodes with Jasmine and Teague. He burns the photo at the very end at the recommendation of Ned Zach. Obviously, you don't want to get caught with that, especially with the situation that's going on. So that's going to lead us into predictions for our very next 2 episodes, which you can tune in here and listen to them.
And now,
Ryan, we'll start with you.
AfterBuzz TV.
What do you think, based on what we've seen, that we can look forward to
In the
in
last
episode 3 and 4?
Murder.
murder.
Very straightforward, very...
More murder and more mystery, more
Yeah.
deception, more noir,
More noir, absolutely.
more great television.
I agree. I'm just going to go with that.
More murder, more deception, and potentially a love story, which every good plot needs a love story, because if not, who do you kill for? I'm also inclined to agree with you. I'm looking forward to more development with both our mafia characters as well as the Teague and Stack relationship. I'm looking to see more of that in the next couple of episodes. So hopefully we get more. You can tune in here to AfterBuzz.
Well, before I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead,
Before
no.
we move on, what is up next with you,
I don't
That
know.
was where I was going next.
career-wise?
Oh.
Unless you
Shoot.
want to tell us about personal.
I don't know.
You have a date this weekend?
No, just with my mother. I haven't seen her for almost over a
That's
year.
not a
so
bad
Oh
date.
wow.
It's time to see
Yeah.
the folks. It'll be nice to go back. I'm actually, man, I just had something last week that was another exciting, because, what was it, the 4th was when Mob City aired, and then the next day I had an amazing chemistry read with Anna Gunn from Breaking Bad.
Excellent.
So nothing's official yet, but it's, I met with her, and I met with the director twice now, this film that she's doing next. And it's in the vein of Winter's Bone, the novelist that wrote that.
Yep.
He also wrote this book that this film's based on. Did I say that right? This book that the film, yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping she's not gonna make any decisions for a couple weeks. So I'm hoping Santa Claus tells me I get my first film, my first lead. And if that happens, it's gonna be an amazing day in my life.
What's
So
the character? Can you tell us?
it's I don't like to speak too much about it. It's just southern thing, and I get to be go to my West Virginia roots and get to be that good old boy that I am and still used to be, or good old boy that I used to be and still am. And
Keep that at heart.
the accent and all that stuff I get that I work so hard to get rid of. That I still
Here's the
have.
voice coaching down
Yeah,
the toilet.
yeah, living in New York will help. So it's a gritty, it's actually, I get it's a character that's into a little drugs, a little crank, I believe it is. But he's not evil, he's not a sociopath, he's a good guy overall, and just a lost soul, no family, just kind of trugging along the Ozarks and trying to find his way. But that's all I'll say about it. Hopefully I didn't jinx myself. And if it works out, fingers crossed,
yes.
we'll talk about it one day.
Hopefully be reviewing it for you one day. So.
Absolutely. That's the idea, I hope.
Cool. Well, that does it here for us at AfterBuzz. Anik, tell them where the viewers can find you.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Anik Dufour. My website, anikdufour.com.
And Ryan, where can the viewers find you if they want to know more about your life?
Dorsey Ryan, everything. Instagram, Twitter. Dorsey Ryan. Thanks for having me. I really
Dorsey
appreciate
Ryan.
Yes, thank you for
Ladies and
coming
gentlemen, Ryan
in.
Dorsey here. And you can find me at RyanHooks92 on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Yahoo, all the above.
Oh,
I'm everywhere. I love getting Snapchats from viewers. I actually got a Snapchat from a viewer in Australia for the TV show Revolution, which you can tune into AfterBuzz here to see me on Revolution, as well as
Was it a
Almost
naked
Human.
one?
It was not a naked one, but she did talk about the show and the writing for several Snapchats. Wow. It's amazing what
I don't even know
technology
what
can do.
Snapchat is.
Snapchat. It's like Twitter. You can send pictures.
Oh.
And you put little caps. But anyway, that wraps up here for us at AfterBuzz TV Mob City. We will see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
I'm not dead.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.